please stand for the pledge and remain standing afterwards. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for just a brief moment of silence for the 6 U.S. servicemen and women who lost their lives in the conflict with Iran. Thank you. Quick.
Mayor Doral.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Trustee Buckland. Here. Trustee Lawson. Here. Trustee Briggs.
Here. Chief, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Mayor?
Good. Karen, anything to start off with, and just dive right in?
No, you can. We don't have revenue other than I already spoke with the chief about the court revenue that he's comfortable anticipating 5,000 going up from 1,000 that we had before to 5,000. That's, and then the rest is expenses.
Okay. So, Chief, why don't you? I'll hand it off to you, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So I handed everyone a packet, and this is information of the all of the line items that are listed in this workflow sheet are also listed in the packet. I'd like to start off with salary, if that's okay. My position this year is to try and restructure and realign how the department has historically handled the salary budget line for personal services. So if you look at the starting base salary structure, entry-level officer rate, and then after 1 year, the entry-level rate will reflect officers who are hired and on probation for that first year, going through training, learning how to operate in the village, and then after 1 year, they'll get a bump. There are no steps after the 1 year. I've included a proposal to start a longevity stipend. And if you look, there's a stipend, a different stipend that increases per years of service. And the purpose for that is, I'll get into that in the justification. Let's just go through the budget for now. If you look at supervisory and administrative structure, part-time sergeant position, approximately 18 hours a week, all the rates, annual cost, same for the police. My salary being what it is, I will not get a salary increase this year. Patrol officers listed for 60 hours, their rates, base patrol coverage, and 4 hours for an administrative officer. Additional compensation is overtime, 15 hours, holiday pay, 156, special event coverage, 81, and longevity, which will only impact 1 officer currently. Additional compensation total is $9,297. The total for personnel costs is $192,435. The 2025-26 personnel cost was $185,678, which is an increase of $6,757. But that's going to be offset by eliminating the full-time sergeant's position, medical insurance cost of $10,943, dental $546, for a total of $11,489. That does not reflect the savings of the 16% increase in 2027, which would bring it to about $13,240. Additional employer PFRS contribution also avoided, which, if you include the 5% increase for 2027, is about $17,959. That approximately $18,000 will be avoided for the 2027 budget. That's pretty much the basis for the salary line for personal services. Under operational budget, contract.
Let's just stop there
Sure.
for a bit, Chief. So, board, historically, you may recall, and in prior years as well, we typically review salaries in executive session for everyone. The police salaries and the compensation structure was, I think to the chief's point, an afterthought in a lot of different years. We gave them some increases some years and not other years. So we can certainly have a broader discussion about the salaries in executive session. I thought it would be beneficial for everyone to just hear what the chief is proposing for the purposes of this portion of the budget meeting. So thank you for putting this together, Chief. Any questions before we go into other items? Any questions or comments initially, I guess, from?
Yeah, what is this PFRS contribution?
That's the police and fire retirement system.
Oh, okay. And because have eliminated a full-time sergeant position, that's, okay, I got it.
Right, that cost will be avoided. If you go to the second packet, which is the budget proposal justification, it goes into a little bit more detail about why this restructuring and realignment was created. This plan eliminates a high liability full-time sergeant position, maintains supervisory oversight through a part-time model. So we'll still have a sergeant on duty, but it'll be a part-time sergeant instead of a full-time sergeant. And the savings there is reflected in the avoidance of fringe benefits, of payment into PFRS, and some other components that a full-time sergeant would receive that a full-time sergeant will not. Establishes a standardized patrol officer pay structure that didn't exist before, and there were some inequities in the pay structure, which I think puts the village in a little bit of a position of liability, where if we have equity and go to a longevity system, there's some benefits to that, which I'll get into shortly. Formalizes longevity compensation, reinvests supervisory savings into frontline staffing stability, improves recruitment and retention of qualified professional personnel, and remains budget neutral. Most importantly, it reduces recurring annual cost exposure and significantly limits long-term fringe pension liability. PFRS contribution avoidance, like I said, that's approximately $17,000.
Let's just stop there for a second, Chief. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So, Trustee Buckland, just so you're aware, this PFRS, and I'm not incredibly familiar with it, but it's something that the state sends us. They have a what they think is going to be spent by the village on retirement.
It's in your packet, I printed them.
Right.
So they send us something in the beginning of the year, and then at the end of the year, they'll send us the exact. So what they've sent us is, we don't know what 12/26 is going to look like, how much money we're going to have to spend. So from my perspective, and I've discussed this with Karen as well, I think we have to be conservative in this estimate, Chief. We might save some money, but I think we have to go with what the state is telling us, not with what we hope it's going to be.
Historically, does this change dramatically every year? This is the amount?
It can, but it really doesn't change much from their projection. And like I said, I appreciate your presentation. However, I respectfully disagree that we should not budget what the New York State retirement has projected for our payment in December. Again, they work on a year prior. I know you did calculations. I would rather be $4,000, have $4,000 additional if it goes down, rather than have to come up with $4,000 from some other line item if it doesn't. So,
Yeah.
like I said, that's one thing that I feel pretty adamant about, that we should stick with the projection from the retirement system.
Okay.
and I don't disagree with that. My point, just, showing you these numbers is to say that, the officers that we had employed prior versus the officers that we're bringing on board now are retired officers who will be no contributions into the retirement system based on their retirement. So
Because they have retirement.
because they're already retired.
Right,
yeah,
All the contributions have been made on their part.
right.
So that's really where that comes in. And when I say avoidance, what I'm talking about is if we had continued with the staff that we had in the past, then these are the contributions that we would have made if that were the case. Not to say that, this is exactly the number that we
Right.
would have to pay this year, but to say that if nothing had changed, these would be the contributions plus 5% because it increases by 5% for 2027. So, those numbers, I did the calculations, it's impossible to say who's gonna be scheduled what days and when, so that's where the estimates come in. But you can look at the exact calculations that the state gives you and kind of project out what the hours will be based on what the board approves for coverage and what our staff looks like.
But, I'm sorry, Keith, but I also, the Neislers they provide us with a projection. So, yeah, maybe if they're gonna provide this to us next year, so maybe in 27-28, in the budget 27-28, if we
Right.
see this goes down to 12,000,
Right.
then that's great. But again, it's just me.
No.
You're the board, you can make your decision. But
No,
I'm not
it makes
comfortable.
sense, cause that, go with that until the dust settles, and it takes
And-
2 or 3 years, right, for things to settle.
I think, and I haven't really seen in the places that I've been, it really changing all that much from their projected to when we actually get the invoice in December.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. My sole point is just that,
But yes, you're projecting further out than just 26, 27.
right.
Right,
And the other part of this, so there's about a $5,000 difference in 2025-26 reduction, $5,000 reduction in their estimate to the 30,000 the 25,000 for 26 or 27 versus the 30,000 in the previous year. So, my point being that there will be that reduction plus the 5% increase that comes in this coming year. All of that is really, that's not part of my overall budget scheme as far as like what our reduction was. Our overall reduction, if you look at the first page, we're we're $18,861 under our previous year's budget. And I'll go through all of that. Okay, so moving on, let's see. And some of these things that I'm going through are just to kind of give you a sense of where we've made, it's about the restructuring and realigning of our personal services line. So the reduction of the full-time sergeant shift coverage from 8 to 6 hours per day, 10 hours per week, so that works out to be 10 hours per week times 52 weeks, $34.15 an hour, and that doesn't include any kind of increase for 26, 27, works out to be about almost $18,000 in a salary savings. Total direct salary and retirement savings, 26, 27, plus the shift reduction is about 32,000. Fringe benefit package, full-time employee would receive 2 weeks vacation, 12 days sick leave, 13 holidays, 4 days personal leave. Total fringe savings that would be realized by eliminating that position is $10,655. Including medical and dental coverage. So when you switch from a full-time profile to a part-time model, the savings in total, the savings for medical and dental, aside from the 16% increase that's coming in 27, is $11,489. So it would be greater than that number. Total funds saved by eliminating and changing the full-time model to a part-time model is about $54,000. And this doesn't include fringe escalation, wage growth, or pension compounding. So the full-time versus part-time sergeant long-term cost comparison No village paid medical coverage, no employee retirement contributions, no long-term pension liability growth, and no fringe exposure. And then it just kind of goes on to break this down further, full-time sergeant costs, which you can all see. It lists it all out. The estimated total annual cost is approximately $120,000 to $130,000 versus a proposed part-time sergeant model at is an estimated annual cost of approximately $70,000 to $75,000. And that's with the same amount of, we're talking about the same amount of coverage, 2,080 hours annually. Estimated annual structural savings conservatively is $45,000 to $50,000 per year. Let's see. This just goes on to show what the retirement contributions that are avoided over 10 years works out to be about $170,000, and that doesn't reflect annual increases. Medical coverage avoided $120,000 over 10 years, which doesn't include an increase, which this year was 16%. Total 10-year avoided fringe exposure approximately $290,000. And this just all goes to support the restructuring from a full-time to a part-time first-line supervisor model. Let's see. So the base, moving on to page 5, if you look at the proposed structure, again, the entry-level patrol officer, $30 per hour. After 1 year of service, $34 an hour. The first year reflects probationary training status. 1 year increase reflects full-duty operational status. And then the longevity stipends is a way to, kind of remedy the inequity that we're dealing with now with having officers at different rates of pay, and puts it all under a longevity model, which is common in police departments throughout the state. With this type of breakdown, the dollar amounts can be adjusted, but this is, the typical structure with most police agencies in the state. And the benefits are it's paid as a stipend, it's itemized separately, it doesn't compound over time like it would if it was an increase in the dollar per hour rate. And it doesn't inflate the base salary, preserves recognition of service while improving fiscal clarity. I have spoken to the one officer who would possibly receive longevity if this was the direction that the village was interested in going, because it's important for that, before I even propose this, for the officer who would be impacted to have, because if he said, no, I'm absolutely not interested, I wouldn't even propose this. But I think this is a good way for us to go. The officer supports it. In the long term, it's better for it reduces risk and liability for the village. The restructuring makes things simpler, clearer, and is a benefit to both the officer and the agency. Why this proposal is structurally responsible. This isn't downsizing, it's financial restructuring. It maintains supervisory oversight, preserves command presence, reduces pension liability growth, eliminates escalating medical exposure, creates transparent patrol compensation, improves recruitment narrative, improves retention through defined progression, and keeps the overall police budget neutral. Most importantly, converts high liability fixed cost into flexible operational spending. That covers most of the salary portion of it in the restructuring or realignment of the police department's personal services line. I hope that kind of gives a pretty good explanation of the changes that I want to make. Does anybody have any questions about anything?
So right now, we have, and I know I should know the answer to this question, we have how many part-time officers?
7.
7 part-time officers. And roughly, how long has, from longest serving to most recent hire, what are we talking about?
The longest serving officer is 25 years, but the majority of our officers are under 3 years.
Okay. So if the one officer who has 25 years, would they automatically jump in at the over 20-year stipend?
He would.
Okay,
And I calculated that, to look at what the extra, the added amount that he's compensated for now in his salary versus this, and the amount of the stipend that he would be allotted is a little bit more than he would get now, but that, you know, doesn't compare to any overtime, because then it starts to compound once you start including.
so how many officers would be benefiting from the longevity pay?
Just one,
Just that one person?
just that one officer.
Okay, and then in 2 years, we would start seeing people who would be getting the $500.
Yes.
Okay. And how, like, how many people are we talking about? I mean, I guess what I'm interested in, are we gonna have 5 or 10? You know, or, yeah, we have 7 part-time people, are we gonna have, you know, like clumps of people, or is it gonna be more incremental?
The officer that has about 3 years on, I don't think he's quite 3 years. After him, you have me, and I'm here a year and a half.
Okay,
And everybody else has come here since I was appointed.
okay. And who knows where, I mean, they may stay, they may not stay, right? So we may have some attrition there. I mean, hopefully not, it would be great
Right.
if we could, I think that's part of what you're trying to get at here, is if we have people that work well, we want them to stay, and this is a
Have
way of.
incentive.
Yeah,
Right,
this
exactly.
isn't it, exactly. Okay, I just wanted to say, if, you know, if there's all of a sudden, in 2 years, we're looking at 5 people who are now, then that line item goes up a bit.
Right.
Okay.
I think
That's
to your
not-
point, it's hard to project.
Right, it is hard to
Right,
predict.
I mean, it's impossible, essentially.
I mean, you know, and I've talked about background investigations and hiring people with the board in the past, and I think the people, and I think the officer who came and spoke at the last meeting is a great example of the quality of people we're trying to hire. And these are people that, yeah, we're hiring them because, you know, one, because they're extremely qualified, well-trained, very intelligent and knowledgeable about police work, but also because, you know, we're looking for people who want to stay. You know, part of the interview process is to try and weed out people who are looking for, you know, a quick turnaround versus those who are going to be committed, you know, to staying and you know, making this their home.
Right, well, to what we were talking about before the meeting, right? I mean, when you're here, you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's, and that,
It makes sense.
yeah, no, I think the longevity thing is
A good incentive.
yeah, that is a nice incentive. It's certainly something worth having a conversation about.
I think seeing this for the first time, like everyone else, I think there's some really, you know, kind of good ideas in here, Chief. I obviously need time to digest this from a compensation perspective. You know, attracting and retaining quality officers is obviously important to all of us, I think. The other side of that coin is, you know, yes, we're saving money this year, that's great. There's also increasing costs in the other parts of the general fund, right, that are huge. Insurance, fire contracts, etc. So just because one pot of money has been set, you know, in 1 year, it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to stay in that, going to stay that number forever. Just because there's a lot of different considerations we have to weigh.
Yeah.
But I think again, there's some good ideas here.
Yeah, and this is very comprehensive. Thank you. I appreciate you
Yeah.
laying it out so clearly. I mean, it really does. It presents a very, you know, clear picture of what we have, and also kind of, as you say, a vision for where we want to go, and some of the concrete things we could do, or at least think about doing going
Yeah.
forward.
Absolutely.
And I like the idea of retaining people because it's a small community
Yeah.
and you want our officers to kind
To
of
know people,
exactly.
start knowing
People
people,
that
People recognize
get
that.
names
Yeah.
and they
know
get
the gang
first
that
name
hangs out at
basis.
Stewart's, the community watch,
Exactly,
you know, those people.
Group W Ben.
We saw them earlier, actually.
Yes. Can't miss
What'd you say,
them.
what'd you call them?
The Group W Ben.
Group W Ben. Yeah, no, it's good points, so very good.
Oh,
Yes,
I like
thank
that.
you.
One of the things I didn't really discuss too much was about scheduling. So this, it doesn't really impact our scheduling coverage since last year. It is a slight increase of 4 hours for an administrative officer And that officer is, works now, and she does FOIL requests, warrants, domestic incident reports. She does domestic incident follow-ups, processing. She writes our grants. I mean, she's a well, you've all met her.
Yeah.
She's a tremendous asset to the department. She does a lot of things that I just simply cannot get to.
Yeah.
The state, there's a huge demand from the state for reporting. It's a required, part of this job that we, I'll say, lacked before. And so it's very important that we keep up with that, or else, if we start becoming delinquent in state reporting, then there's some pretty severe consequences for that. So it's really, it's important to have her. There was a 6-hour increase in the hours, and the mayor and I discussed this briefly about, how to implement that into the schedule. Versus having like a weekend day coverage versus putting that funding into Monday through Friday coverage. It's certainly something that we could do, because right now we don't completely cover early mornings to late evenings, which is kind of my goal at some point. But we don't have the funding there. So when I put together this proposal to the board, I took that into account because I didn't want to come in over budget. So I kept our coverage pretty much where we were, even though I'd like to increase it, but I do understand what the mayor was saying, and that there are a lot of things that, don't impact my department, but a lot of responsibilities that you folks have to make, budget-wise.
Does it make a difference whether an officer is working a weekday versus a weekend? I mean, is there legally, is there a separate compensation for working weekend days versus weekdays? No, it's hours.
It's hours,
Okay.
right? And sometimes there's differential for midnight coverage, which we don't have, and this isn't even really part of the conversation, but, so my thought process is I like to see an officer here every day of the week, so the residents get used to knowing there's an officer on duty, during the day when people are awake and business is taking place. But I certainly understand that there's certain days of the week that are less busy than others. We could shift
Like
that.
Tuesdays, when Millbrook is, I don't know, we gave up on Tuesdays. You can't do anything on a Tuesday in Millbrook.
Oh, because the restaurants are closed.
Everything's closed. The dump is open.
The dump is.
There's that.
We could certainly consider shifting coverage Monday to Friday to start earlier in the day when, commuters are on their way to work, or, when people are calling it a night.
And Saturday nights,
And Saturday
Friday
nights.
and Saturday nights.
Yeah, especially those nights.
So we know the hours that are important. The problem is our current records management system doesn't have the capability to generate reports to really show us what we need to know. So hopefully the new system will do that. So
Is there a
that's kind of-
seasonal aspect to that we could maybe work into this as well? And that is, this time of year
Right.
Not many
versus,
people-
the
When
summer.
it's dark at 9 o'clock and not 5.
Right,
you know?
right.
So my plan is to have Monday through Saturday coverage, day and evening, and that's
Yeah.
kind of how I break it down, is the day and evening shift. Sunday coverage, I would like to have, but I think to the mayor's point, if we're better served taking those hours and putting them Monday through Friday, and so our officers come in a little bit earlier when people are actually commuting to work and kids are traveling by foot to school, and we can provide that traffic enforcement safety coverage and things like that, that would certainly be a benefit. I'm happy to do that. It's just a matter of, trying to work in the coverage that we have without expanding it and making the budget larger.
Right.
So, I'll leave that up to you folks as to,
Okay.
in your conversations. And then the only thing left is operational costs, so if we want to move on to that, we certainly can. Very good.
I would just add that getting some help for the chief, on the 4 hours of administrative officer, a portion of this part-time sergeant at 8 is proposed at 18. The chief is here much longer than 15 hours a week, and he needs, and we talked about this, I think the administrative side, I'm in complete agreement.
Yeah, well, I think that pays
Dedicated.
for itself eventually. If you're getting grants
Absolutely.
and it's
A
worth
lot
it.
of time to this
Right.
community, and it's appreciated. In terms of coverage and that, I think discuss that as well.
Mhm.
But for the last year or so, there hasn't been a morning shift covered, right? Correct? There's not covered right now.
Yeah.
Have there been issues popping up during that time?
I gotta tell you, I go at 7:30, and I used to go at like 6:30 for a 7 o'clock client. And I'm walking through the town and there's nothing happening. I mean, it's summer, there's really no one on the road parked when I'm there, even at 8, now lately because of the snow, not even at 9, but in the summer times, I gotta tell you, it's pretty standard.
I think there's been one-off where having somebody on duty would have been helpful, but I tend to agree that for the most part,
The mornings are very sleepy.
people haven't really noticed the lack of a morning officer, I would propose. Again, for the most
Because
part.
there's no one really around. They're going to the diner, they're
Going
getting
to
their
the
breakfast, and then they're getting their
Joggers,
truck.
going to jobs.
Yeah, on their way to jobs.
And I understand that. I think the things you have to keep in consideration is because we do have a large elderly majority of residents that I'm seeing an uptick in our EMS responses, and it bothers me when we don't have an officer to respond, because
I see.
regardless of how close EMS is, our officers are always going to be the first on scene. I try to go to those calls when I can. If something hot comes in, I go. And for me to get from my office to the car and into the call, I'm still always the first one there. So I think, having an officer on patrol in the car, whether it's, something as simple as a child getting hurt at school, or, an elderly person having a heart attack and an officer can get there with an AED, and start, BLS, I think that's critical. And those kind of things we should keep in conversations. And the other part of it is, from September till June, we get, I wouldn't say a lot of traffic complaints, but we get some.
No, I was gonna add that. Yeah, they drive very quickly because no one's around, and they'll drive really fast.
Right.
And I see that. That's very frequent.
Yeah.
Especially on Front Street coming into town.
And church.
Because I'm walking to work at that point.
Sure.
And
So you see it.
yeah, I mean there was a bunch of vultures in the front, and this truck did not slow down one bit, and it was at the bank.
Right.
It's like this hard stop.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is that.
So coming around the bend by the gas station.
Right.
If you're leaving town,
Yeah.
you better give them some berth because they come flying around.
Yeah. I mean you do have that in the morning. Yeah. At 7.
So I think that's an important aspect of our duties, is to make sure that, commuter traffic goes smoothly, and, with a little bit of enforcement, my officers have stepped up dramatically. They've done a great job with increasing traffic enforcement, and I think we've quelled some of the complaints, but in some locations, and I don't want to get off topic, but
Right.
in some locations, it takes constant enforcement to get that message out to people, especially when kids are concerned and they're walking to work.
Yeah.
walking to
I
school.
think the
Church
summer
Street,
months
yeah,
too. Like
Church-
at least the summer months.
So is
because,
there-
yeah.
The basic officer schedule, is it pretty set the way, I mean, do you have people in place covering pretty much is this something that is standardized and routine at this point, or is it still?
Something we can also kind of talk
That's-
about
yeah, that's what I-
offline, just
that's
so
what
we're
I was
not
thinking.
talking about scheduling in a public setting.
Yeah, no, I get that, I'm just, okay, so we'll.
Just like from a public safety perspective.
Yep, got you.
I think it's something that we can always have an executive session.
Session about, yeah, got it.
I'll just say this, our staffing has increased dramatically.
Yeah.
As of right now, so our coverage is much better than it
That
has
was
been,
a
and
year
it's only
ago,
gonna
yeah.
improve.
Yeah.
And, I anticipate by summer of this year, we'll have full coverage.
And is 7 where you wanna be, or are you looking to hire?
I think, I have one other candidate who I'm looking at who will completely fulfill our coverage.
Okay.
And then we'll be in really solid ground. And it's really excellent candidate.
Okay, so why don't we switch to our sheet, Chief, and the expense budget, and I guess the part-time payroll number. What is that? what's built into that?
So that
your
is-
proposed plan built into that, or?
Right, so that has the longevity built into it, that has, 78 hours of patrol coverage and 78 hours of patrol coverage, 4 hours of administrative coverage, and then my work, the administrative end.
No part-time
I'm
sergeant?
sorry, no, the 148 does not include me. It includes patrol and one administrative officer for 4 hours.
And-
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I see the chief right below that, so that makes sense. The part-time sergeant proposal, is that in there?
That's included,
That's included in
yeah.
there. Do we, but we haven't hired for that, correct?
We haven't hired, and I think we have enough talent inside in our staff right now to deal with that,
Okay. And that would be a retired person?
yes.
Right, okay. Okay, so part-time payroll, we know what's in there, I think. Any questions? No. Chief is capped, it's New York State law, correct, chief?
Yes,
Unfortunately. Overtime, so overtime just on basically a couple holidays, essentially?
it's,
Like-
it's court coverage, it's for, an officer has to stay late for an investigation or a motor vehicle accident. It seems like, accidents always tend to come in right at the end of shift. Because we don't have an overlap, so, again, it's one of those things the mayor brought up, I'd rather not discuss. We could discuss in executive session. But yeah, like those type of things, late calls, court appearances, maybe a special detail if I have an officer come in because we have a traffic problem that just needs to be dealt with and it's beyond, our standard hours of coverage. Basically things like that. That's outside of like the special details that we do, providing security and traffic assistance, traffic control for village details, village events.
Okay.
I have a question. For court, school, and special events, do you want that? I kind of think it's a good idea to have those separated out so you know what you're spending on court issues and school issues and special events. But is there a way that you can let Nicole know, or we can set up through paychecks to charge those sub-accounts, correct?
You're not even covering the school
No,
or something.
right, so I'll explain that a little bit.
Okay,
So-
I just see that you budgeted 1,000, but then I see the prior 2 years, there was stuff in there for court and school. So I guess my question is there a value to knowing what I was just spent on court, what I was just spent on the school or special events?
Sure, I think there's some value to that, and we have been tracking that these two lines, however, are for external details. So the court is for court security, which was taken over by the sheriff's office, and the schools, there's a new athletic director, so that was for covering basketball games.
Okay, so
So
you
those are all
you don't do
reimbursements,
those.
they're not
Okay.
actual costs that are incurred by the village.
Okay.
Chief, how many hours of coverage was budgeted this current budget year?
72.
72. So it's up by 10. 4 is for the administrative officer, and 6 is, I guess, patrol.
Yeah.
And are we not doing court anymore?
We're not, I'd love to get the court back. I understand why the court switched. They went with the sheriff's office because we didn't have the staffing to cover it. We were down to 3 officers on the road and, they just didn't have the availability to provide the coverage that the court required. So unfortunately, we had to give that up. It wasn't a decision that we made or that I was happy with, but I certainly understand that there has to be security in the court. It's something I'd like to get back.
Yeah. We all would like to do that back.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Alright, so sporting events, special events. Moving down to some technology upgrades. Will take us through some of those. Are these current vendors, Chief, or are these new proposals?
Other contracts? Yeah, so Sonic Firewall is just to keep our annual maintenance up on the firewall. It's actually the village's, but we all use it, and it's
Yeah.
important that we keep those security updates up to date so that we can avoid any malware or viruses to our systems. ATS is the All Traffic Solutions Traffic Suite, which is a program that we use to monitor the speed sign.
We've been using it a lot.
We haven't really been using it, and it's just, again, it's one of those things, we're so short-handed, we haven't had somebody here in the daytime to put it out. I can't always get to it, so.
I think we've been, I know it came before you. I think we've had a much better traffic enforcement program now with your officers than with just the sign and data. So, I mean, it's not that much money, but
But it's
your guys
also-
are doing a great job without it, without utilizing it.
They are doing good. The benefit to having it is, it does give us an opportunity to create traffic studies on our own. We can do volume and speed, which really helps us, monitor the benefits or the detriment to our officers doing enforcement in certain locations. So if we're getting complaints, we'll put the speed sign up, we'll leave it blank so that it's capturing data, but it's not flashing the speeds. And most people, they don't even recognize that it's there.
Yeah.
And then we can look at a week's worth of data and then, then send the officers out and do enforcement and look at it again, after, let's say, a month or 2 months of enforcement and say, is what we're doing having an impact? So it's really valuable for that. And then, having the flashy numbers, I think is nice. I don't think it really deters speed, but some people like it, and if it helps us out in both ways, I think
It's a tool.
it's a benefit. Yeah. After that, we have TLO TransUnion, which is a program that we use to assist in criminal investigations. It's a data solutions program, basically, background investigations and things like that. It's mandatory for almost every police station out there. That was a much greater cost, but we were able to negotiate them down to that. So that's really a great price that we're getting. Lexipol is our policy and training software. Lexipol's the company that provided our policy manual.
Yeah.
And they give us almost weekly updates, changes in the state and federal law that we wouldn't otherwise be privy to. They do a fantastic job. And then built into that is a training system that once all the policies are reviewed and acknowledged by the officers, we can assign them training to different policies. And it gives them like built-in scenarios. It's not just, questions on the test. It's actually really well done, daily training bulletins. So I think that's worth keeping. I think last year it was about $28.50, but some of these you'll see I made some minor increases for inflation. Typically it's about 5 to 7%, per vendor. That's why the overall price, I think, went from, we only had about a $2,000 or $3,000 overall increase to operational costs. The next one is Biometrics for All. That's our live scan, which we got a grant on last year. So the system itself, with all the hardware and installation, was about $25,000. It's about $1,500 a year annually. But I was able to get a grant that was large enough to cover us for approximately 3 years of service and maintenance. So we won't have to pay that until 29, I think. So we're good there for a few years.
Peter, do we want anyone to in to sit down?
Sure.
Yeah, come on. Sir.
Come on in and sit down. We're gonna be a minute.
Evening, everyone.
So the next line is utilities, phone and internet. That's our optimum cable system coming in. That's kind of mandatory.
We can breeze through utilities, Chief. I think gasoline, same. 252 that's the newer car? Is that?
Yes.
That's why it's less.
No, that's the Taurus. That's why that's
The
low.
newest one from
That's the one from Poughkeepsie.
Poughkeepsie, yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha,
yeah.
okay.
So moving on to equipment and supplies, I put $500 in for office supplies, toner, printer, paper, folders, you know, just standard stuff that some we can anticipate and some we can't. Computer supplies, software, hardware, parts, you know, for computer mishaps, uniforms for new officers and replacement of uniforms. One thing I noticed when I got here is our uniforms were, let's just say, needed some updates. So we've done a majority of that. But, you know, some of the things the officers purchase on their own, like winter beanies, turtlenecks, you know, things that, and unfortunately in the police world, because we have to buy from police supply companies, the prices are really high, you know, but I've done all the research. Right now we're purchasing off the Albany contract. We were able to negotiate with Galls, which is the largest leading police supply, uniform supply in the country. They offered items off the New York State contract. I was able to negotiate them to get us in the Albany contract, which is actually better pricing. But that's just the cost of doing business, is replacing uniforms. And we have a list of uniforms that we purchase for officers that are new hires. And then, you know, that same list is used to replace officers' property when it gets damaged on call or when it just gets worn out. $750 for traffic signs, flares, cones, barricades, $750 for traffic enforcement, local parking tickets, tracks, paper, just things of that nature. There's nothing under patches. Badges we have to replace or purchase for new officers or replace when they get damaged. That's about $350 annually. Fleet supplies, including lockout kits, entry tools, emergency blankets, spit hoods, just a lot of stuff that the officers carry on a daily basis in the vehicles. First aid kit and AED supplies, which is AED pads, batteries for the AEDs if they need to be replaced.
And so we're updating these yearly.
So when I came here, we didn't even have 2 first aid kits. We should have one for an AED and a first aid kit for each car.
Yeah.
We didn't have that, so I was able to purchase some of that stuff. So now we have a set for each car. We don't have a second AED. They're very expensive. I was hoping to get one off a grant. We do have an older one that's out of service. It needs to be evaluated, and you know, we need to take a look at it. I think we can get it in service. We may just have to replace the batteries or you know, whatever it takes. Ammunition, training supplies. Ammunition unfortunately goes up every year. It's extremely expensive, but firearms qualifications and training is a mandatory. There's really no negotiation. We really have to do that. I'm sure you understand that.
Yeah.
Property and evidence supplies, evidence bags, tags, DVDs, flash drives, and things so we can capture evidence and secure it in the agency. Before I move on to the next budget line, any questions about equipment or supplies?
Same.
Okay, repairs and maintenance. The repairs and maintenance is the title of the line, but I did a subtitle for IT services. So one thing I've noticed is our computer system, and I'll go over all of this with you folks later. I don't want to go through it on the budget conversation, but our computer system network was basically non-existent. We had one 8-year-old computer that had no archive system whatsoever. So if it crashed, we lost all of our data. In other words, all the records that we had for the past 20 years no longer existed. So we were able to get all of that stabilized. We now have a new server and redundancy, and we're good there. But just to be prepared to replace computers and you know, different parts, and to have IT come in, like every time we call IT, and I'm sure you can all attest to this, every time we have to call IT to do the smallest thing, whether it's change a password or you know, correct something that an officer is having a problem with, it's expensive. It's $120 an hour. So, you know, we go through that pretty quickly, and I just want to make sure that we have a budget line, you know, to cover that. So I created the IT services line under repairs and maintenance.
Another thing the chief has done since he's been here, I mean, just phenomenal work on upgrading our very antiquated technology systems.
Yeah.
Just this number, chief, like, how did you come up with this, I guess? And should we think about looking at a different vendor with a different comp structure that's kind of more on call for us maybe, or something that doesn't have a recurring charge every time you need something?
I've given this a lot of thought because, I've dealt with different IT vendors in the past, and ideally with a lot of agencies, and I'll just talk about police agencies because that's my experience. They have officers who are technologically savvy, and what a huge savings. We don't have that, and that's okay, we'll figure it out, but, and I think the company that we're using now is good. I think that if we could find a smaller company, like an independent vendor, like a single guy who runs his own computer company, we could probably, enjoy some savings there.
Yeah.
And the bigger companies have policies built in where they get paid for travel time and things it's an expense that we really can't afford.
Right.
And I think maybe if we could do a little research and find another vendor, and again, I like the company that we use, but I think there could be,
Let's chat about this. I might have some ideas
They
as well.
do offer, if you buy tokens in advance, it's like $30 an hour cheaper if you buy certain, like they have tiers.
This is NetFX?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, so if you buy like 10 hours or 20 hours of IT time, you buy it in tokens and then it's a reduced cost.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Let's circle back to this.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah,
This would be
sounds good.
easy.
But definitely getting what you need in this, I think is important, obviously.
So let's see, so then going down to training, I have $1,500 budgeted for officers, $250 for travel and mileage reimbursement, and $750 for me. I am part of the Dutchess County Chiefs Association. That comes with dues. I really should be part of the New York State Chiefs Association. There's a training conference every year I've attended in the past. It's incredible. It's great for making contacts, which is really priceless. The training is really second to none. It is like a 3-day event. I did not budget for it last year, and I don't know if this amount covers it, because you're talking about a hotel for a few days. But, I put that number in there as just a starting point. So there would be some funds budgeted for training. Dues and publications is to update our law enforcement books. Like one of the things, aside from like penal law, criminal procedure law, family court law, we also look at like there's a company that provides publications for like the court information, which just changed dramatically, right? So it's a publication that offers information on the point system and fines when our officers go to court and they have to either plead cases or talk to a driver who's been issued a summons. They have a basis of understanding of what the fine structure is, what the point structure is, and they can talk intelligently to the person that they're dealing with and say, this is what I can offer you, what I can't offer you, this is what your penalties are gonna be, and, it's important for them to have that information, so that's all built into this. Let's see, then we're down to police, repair, and maintenance. I have $3,000 allotted for the 2020 Explorer. Brought it to the mechanic last week. He did an oil change and I asked him to do a quick look at it. He said the transmission on those cars is horrendous. He said it's been a problem since those vehicles were manufactured. There's about 2 or 3 years, I think it's 20 through 23, where those vehicles are known to have transmission and engine problems, and unfortunately we have one of them. So I'm anticipating, I don't want to be cut short. Let me rephrase that. I don't want to end up having repairs we don't have budgets for. So I'd rather build a little buffer in there, just to protect us on that. The $1,500 for the Charger is just for your typical stuff. It's battery, wipers, blades, inspections, and just like simple. Even oil changes are $100 today. So there's a lot of costs that I can't foresee, but I don't want to be caught short. There's no repairs or anything put in for the Taurus. $2,500 for tires, $100 for New York State inspections, oil changes, brakes, auto maintenance, supplies, wipers, fire extinguishers, and refills, $200. Any questions about anything under the vehicle repair and maintenance line? So this number I brought down a little bit. It was like 9110. I brought it down to 9,000. Again, it's a budget line that I think we should have at that level because we can't anticipate vehicle breakdowns. So if we don't spend it, we don't spend it. But if we need it, and we don't have it. That could be a problem.
Chief, I have a quick question. I know we had talked earlier that you're doing very well on your current budget. Are there any items that you can maybe purchase this year? Like maybe could you get the tires this year, even though
I
you're
can.
not gonna
And
put them on?
what I'd like to do is I am going to purchase tires, and I'm going to try and purchase rotors and brake pads for our vehicles out of this year's budget, and that'll help prepare us. When he did the look, the quick look at the Explorer, he determined that it does need tires now. So those tires will be taken out immediately, which means we probably will need tires for next year for the Explorer again. And again, it all depends on wear and tear, right? The more
Yeah.
cops we have on the road, which is increasing, the more coverage, the more work they do, the faster the tires go. Same with oil changes. One of the things I experienced when I came here is that the maintenance of these cars was horrible. Some of the cars had 3, 4, 5 lights on, and there was no fleet maintenance. So we have to be careful we don't fall back into that because our repair costs this year were really low compared to past years because we are providing maintenance, routine maintenance. I think it's important we keep up with that.
Just to Karen's point, Chief, what else are we buying this year that we, like firearms? What else did we talk about that?
Firearms and portable radios.
Right, okay. With the savings.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Okay, so if there's no questions about vehicle repair and maintenance, I'll move on to physicals. So psych exams, Identigo, which is fingerprint criminal history checks and drug tests, that's the normal range. That's for the costs that are implemented in this budget line are for the hiring of 2 officers. So I know we said, right now, looking at one police officer candidate who's very eager to come here and very likely will start around beginning of June if everything goes well and the board approves. And then there's funding in here for one more hire should something happen, we lose an officer unexpectedly. Let's see, so then we have the police fire and retirement, which we discussed was $30,000 last year. It's $4,900 less this year, and the bond, principal, and interest on the Dodge Charger.
I put the retirement back up to projection on that
Yeah.
sheet.
Gotcha. Any thoughts, questions initially?
Yeah, no, I think it looks.
No, I mean, well, I don't know what last year's looked like, so.
The uniforms piece, Chief, is that for everyone new or certain fit people or new officers, or what is it? You might have said it, I'm sorry.
So that'll cover the hiring of a new officer and replacement uniforms for our existing officers. When we're looking at this, it's like body armor, to purchase body armor alone is a little over $900 per officer. We will always try and get that money back on a grant, but there's no guarantee there. So it's just something that we have to take into account.
So you know how I think, Chief. If I had to say where can we cut 5% right now, what would you say? I'm not saying I'm saying that, but what would you say if we said that? Just so we have a sense to go back and discuss and think about.
5%. I would probably look at this and try and take small pieces from areas where I think we have a little bit of room.
IT services or something, maybe a little bit there, a little bit.
We could split physicals in half probably if we had to, right?
We could split physicals
just
in
look at
half.
one.
We could, cut vehicle repairs and maintenance down and just cross our fingers and hope nothing happens there.
How much does it make sense to keep putting money into this Explorer? Do you think?
The only other option is, what's the option? Is we put the Taurus in service? Because I'll be honest, I mean, the guys really like, and it's not about appeasing everybody, right? But
Right.
the SUVs are comfortable, and when you're wearing a body armor and
Oh,
25 pounds of equipment on you and a coat, and you're in the car in hot and cold weather,
Right.
getting in and out of an SUV is a lot easier. I take the Charger, and I can tell you, I gotta jam my body in there. But aside from that, like, we have guys that are as big or bigger than me, and, you know, putting them in a sedan is not always the most comfortable.
Right.
I think having an SUV is pretty common practice. If it were up to me, and Karen and I spoke about this briefly, I would like to see us go on a vehicle replacement rotation. A lot of agencies, almost all agencies do it. It's a smart way to be able to project costs for replacement vehicles. That being said, 252 is smaller than the Charger. And so, although it was a pretty common police vehicle for a while, there's a reason why it isn't any longer. Very small, very tight. Aside from putting a police officer in there with all their equipment, you're also putting radios and computers and equipment, and it gets to a point where you just don't have any room to move anymore. So
Yeah.
it's the SUVs are nice.
Is there a set mileage that other agencies use, or kind of like a general?
Yeah, so typically, in every agency is different. So towns are usually 75 to 100,000 miles, depending on the agency and how much wear and tear of the vehicles. Villages are different because they don't get the miles, but they get the hours. So like a car for us that's got 35,000 miles is probably equal to a car with maybe 70,000 miles, roughly. So like, this Ford Explorer is kind of hard to use as a model because it's just not a good vehicle. So can we get a few more years out of it? I think we can if we take care of it. But I wouldn't count on any more than that. We're gonna have a car that's 9 years old. If we keep it till 2029, we're gonna have a car that's 9 years old that is like at the end of its rope with 50,000 miles on it, 60,000 miles on it. So I think we should look at replacing that vehicle and doing a vehicle rotation.
Definitely a broader discussion that we should have, because it's important to give you guys what you want, obviously. Sounds like the Taurus, just spitballing, it's like, why don't we get rid of the Taurus and the Explorer and get an SUV?
Okay.
And go back down to 2. Because we've had 2 for years, and this 3 was, we've had this conversation.
Because
Three
the
is-
Explorer was
The
rough.
3 is like, this was like an anomaly.
Yeah.
So getting used to having 3 vehicles, I think, is not something that we should be doing, because it's just another expense.
Yeah.
And then, so I'd rather give you what you want and go down.
Originally, I think
Yeah.
we went to 3 vehicles because the Explorer, we were having issues, and we were having previous SUV we had,
Right.
we were having issues with it, and
Yeah.
so we're using this as like a backup vehicle, right?
Yeah.
Back
We
up
have
to
2
the- a
quality
backup to the
vehicles,
backup.
would that be better than 3?
I mean, yeah, it all depends on the condition. I think the idea of having a third vehicle is a good thing, and part of that is, we do events, right? And we count on the state police to assist us in shutting down 44 at both ends and 82 at the other end. I personally, I think that's a draw on their resources. I think if it's a village event, I think we should be handling it. As our staff builds, we'll have the manpower to do it. But in some of these cases, you need 3 vehicles. You need an officer at one end with a car to keep him safe, an officer at the other end to keep him safe, and an officer either on patrol or working the other portions of the event, whether it's doing traffic control or just being wherever it needs to be. And it's not one event, it's most of our events where, we're shutting down the village completely, and parades and things like that. So I certainly understand that 3 vehicles can be I don't wanna say a burden, because I just don't see it that way. But I understand your perspective on it. I think having three vehicles, I think is important to maintain. If we keep a third vehicle that doesn't get a lot of mileage and it's just driven once in a while, it's not costing us a lot in maintenance. I know it costs $1,000 a year insurance. To me, it's well spent. I've gotten feedback from your officers, they agree. But, you know, this is a board decision, so I think it's up to you folks. If you think we're better off trading in the Ford and trading in both Fords and getting, you know, a newer second vehicle that's in good condition, then, you know, so be it. That's my perspective on it.
Have you ever seen like a grant offered for vehicles or anything like that, or first responding vehicles?
One of the northern agencies received some funding with the assistance of a local county legislator to replace, I don't know if it was to replace it, but they got an electric vehicle. And I think it was part of
A
that.
Cybertruck or something, or is that?
It was one of the, what do you call them, the Teslas.
Yeah.
I'm not something I'm interested in doing, because I think that brings a whole other problems to the agency. But I mean, there's not really, vehicle grants don't really exist.
Yeah.
Okay, and so the last thing is our debt, for the Charger, and that is what it is. Anything on that front, Karen?
That's what it's set at. So.
Yeah. Any other questions in the public setting at this point?
No, I think we covered a lot of ground, and I really do appreciate it. It's extensive. And
Yeah,
there's a lot of,
thanks
there's a
for
lot,
putting
yes,
this package
that's a lot of
together.
legwork right
It is,
there.
and
Takes a lot of time.
But it gives us clarity.
And we
Yeah.
get something to refer to when we do
Yeah,
talk further.
go over it, yeah. Thank you for that.
Chief, thank you. Thanks
Yeah.
for putting everything together. I'm sure if we have questions or concerns as we move forward in the
Right.
process, we can chat either as a group or separately,
Email
or
or whatever.
we'll figure something out. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess anything else, just from a high level, Karen, for police, that we should be?
I just certainly agree with Keith about establishing a fleet rotation service and looking at our long-term debt. And we're not at a point because, but looking at maybe every 2 or 3 years when one of the debt drops off to just replace it. So
We tried to start a reserve in the past, and we just, like, we would have it penciled in, and we would never be able to make it work in the end.
And then sometimes, you know, are you gonna save for 5 years to buy it or when you need it? You know,
Right.
when you need it. But I think the vans or the bonds and then lease purchases are a good avenue, but again, we haven't really dove into this, but I do think having a fleet schedule maybe for next year, you know, coming up with a fleet schedule would be a good idea.
When does this drop off, Karen?
Did you put it?
Oh, I got this, yeah. Okay, so.
It's 3 months.
So we have 4 more years of payments for the Charger.
Right, but also if Keith is looking at a vehicle and they purchase it or schedule to purchase it in 26, 27, the first payment won't be till 27,
Right.
28. So
Yep.
that may be like an opportune time to start a fleet rotation.
When? This year?
27, or no, 20, shop this year, purchase it, first payment will be due 27, 28.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
You look great in a Tesla.
What's that?
You'll look great in a Tesla.
Thank you.
Or a Prius.
Again, can't fit into that.
Hey,
Okay.
the Ford Mustang is electric, is what you
A Mustang. Probably can't fit into it, that would be equipment.
Rivian or something.
Yeah, the Charger is no good.
Have you driven an electric car?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Quick.
have, yeah.
They're quick. They are quick.
Thank you, everyone.
Patrick coming back or no?
Yeah. No, see you, have fun, guys.
What's up?
I printed out.
George, you want to come join us?
You want me to?
Please.
Where you want me?
You can sit next to me if you want.
Oh, that's like the hot seat. I'll go over here. I'll go next to
Is Ted coming to work?
I haven't heard from him. I don't know if he's falling asleep at work. I don't know what tonight, so.
He's supposed to do LOSAP.
Yeah.
His little spiel that he usually does. If you want to, you certainly. LOSAP?
I kind of, Charlie's gonna text him right now, just see if he's dozing, didn't realize the time.
So you can patch on the back.
No, this is exhilarating.
Silver red. Oh, statement I was saying.
Chrissy was bringing home soft chicken tacos from Chipotle, and I missed her by a minute. I held out as long as I could.
She's gonna drop them off for everybody. To share.
I'm not looking to share.
No one wants to share with you, Peter.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go home to nice cold tacos.
Where do you
Yeah, I have no idea.
There's
I would
one
say-
by Adams.
Oh, is there?
Across from, yeah, like next to the Arlington Line Records.
Is it Chipotle?
I never go out. Was there?
Yeah, like just open.
I knew there was one by Home Depot.
Yeah, it's like right next to the, yeah.
Right that's up there.
Cause I like salsa fresca. Which I don't know, I've been there, but I
Dominic?
haven't been to the Chipotle.
Welcome, Rob. Okay, so anything from you before we start fire?
Just regarding the fire contract.
Yes.
Sarah has put together a calculation in Excel, so, I think that if you wanna go through their expenses and let them do their presentation, we can talk later about the calculation.
Perfect. Where do you want to start, Tom?
We'll give Ted a few minutes, see if he answers up before we get into the, LOSAP.
Yeah, I mean, we can, if he shows up, we can just start and we can go back to that if you want, or.
Yeah, so I'll just start with the budget over here. Marshall and Sterling, I didn't touch that because, normally the police said you deal with that
Yeah,
part, so.
You put an increase in.
We put in, I think either 7 or 8%,
Yeah.
what normally is.
Yeah, that's insurance, I don't control that by any means, unfortunately. Down to the fire equipment, the CO2 meters, every year they have a lifespan, so we replace them as needed. Traffic control, vest and flares, I'll put some of those consumables right there. Turnout gear, I talked to the sales rep, this is an ongoing problem for us with all the new members we've been having. I don't have much, so I'm budgeting for 6 sets again. Went up a little bit just because the price of the gear goes up every year. Talked to the sales rep, got a fairly close quote for what we need and raised it to that.
Did you have some you needed to get this?
Yes, I always try to wait till towards the end of the year, and just in case something catastrophic comes up, I can hold off on gear. But now that we're getting close to the end of the year, I have.
So you would need of it now, or?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
You have been for a while, right, or no?
What, needing gear?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what it is, for those I haven't explained it to,
turnout gear, the protective clothing we wear, has a 10-year lifespan for the fire scene, according to this organization that governs the fire service called NFPA. Pretty much they issue the guidelines that, God forbid, if one of our guys got burned in a fire, if they looked at the gear and said, oh, it's over 10 years old, that's why he's got burned. So our interior members, we strictly adhere to that 10-year rule. Our exterior members, because they're not going inside, we can be a little more relaxed and I'll let it go 12, 13 years before we have to replace it. Because they're not inside and it doesn't get beat up as much. So between new members coming in that become interior and current members whose gear is reaching that 10-year mark, I have about 3 of each year that need gear.
You have one vendor that basically you have to deal with, or?
No, there's several. We usually buy it from one company, MES out of Poughkeepsie. They're a nationwide company. I do usually, each year go, hey, is there one brand that's dropped a little bit? We mix and match brands to try to keep costs down. And then every other year I check with another vendor, but because no other company for turnout gear is as big as them, no one else has their pricing. But I do check every so often just to.
Yeah, I just didn't know.
Yeah.
My kids go to Lawrence, they got one place you can go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
No dialing. No dialing.
You wait a certain amount of time before giving them gear, so you know they're serious. Or
Yes.
something, right?
Generally, we wait until they've completed the interior firefighting class to issue new gear.
Gotcha.
And if someone does leave, we do keep that gear and try to get it to fit a new member that comes in.
Has anybody left this year
I think
that you need to reuse or
we
can?
have one that moved, and it all depends on, if someone like Robbie left and someone like me came in, I'm not going to fit in his gear.
Yeah.
We do try where we can.
You keep it?
Yes, we keep all the gear.
We're gonna have the gym.
Yeah, no, we don't throw it out until it's like 15 years old where
Yeah.
it's not safe for anyone to be wearing.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So, gloves and hoods stayed the same. Just those are, again, wear and tear items. We do have to have the special fire rated gloves that are NFPA certified. Same with the hoods. The 5-inch hose, the last couple of years, so that's our larger supply hose that we keep on the trucks. The past couple of years, we've lost some when it gets tested, it failed, they take it out of service. Some of it we can repair, some of it we can't. In the past 2 years, we've lost 9 sections. Out of that 9, we think we can fix 4 of them. So I'm looking to replace the other 5, and also our hose testing is coming up the 26th of this month. And couldn't tell you until they tested if we're gonna lose any more or not. The brush fire tools, that's to replace our backpack water tanks and some of the hand tools that we use for brush fire. Some of it's just starting to show its age. We've had all of it for about 20 years, so it's just wearing down. Any questions on that stuff? Alright, the Verizon cell phones, we can remove that. That was put in back when cell phones were not as prevalent, and the department paid for them. That can be removed. I forgot to take that out, that's my fault. The tablets we do still need. Those tablets are in the chief's cars. Those are good for, with the responder app that we have from the county. The chiefs can look at it. as we're going to calls and see what additional information is coming in and who else is responding, so we have an idea of what to expect.
Yeah.
Also, we use it to take pictures of scenes, so if it ever does get subpoenaed, we don't have to lose our phone for a subpoena. Red MMX, that is our state fire, or actually it's now federal fire reporting data program for our computers. It's one of the better deals out there, and Ted's pretty comfortable with it, so I'd like to continue using that one for him. The breathing air compressor service, that stays the same. For those that don't know, we have our own breathing air compressor at the firehouse, so we don't have to pay rent on tanks from air gas, and then pay someone to come fill them with certified breathing air, because it's compressed to 6,000 pounds. So that service is pretty critical for us. SCBA testing, that's for our air packs. Same with the parts, they get serviced every year. Otherwise, we're not in compliance with NFPA. Their monitor service, that is part of the breathing air compressor service. Then we have our fire extinguisher service, that takes care of all the extinguishers on the fire trucks and in the firehouse. Our Amicus Jaws of Life service, again, they come service it every year. Pager radio repair, I believe I left that the same as well again this year.
Why is that so much?
Pagers are expensive, radios are really expensive. For the fire service radios that we use.
So the radios that are in the trucks are handheld radios or both? Okay.
Both. The handheld ones run about $800 each new. And the ones that are mounted in the trucks that are a little bit bigger, they run about $2,000 each. We are looking at a grant from the federal government for trying to get some done, because the county is redoing their radio program, going to a digital system, and it keeps getting pushed further back.
Yeah.
So we've been holding off as long as we can, instead of spending money on radios that are going to be obsolete in 2 years. But now it's 3 years out still, and this program started 5 years ago before I came. So keeps getting stretched. We're trying to just repair what we can and.
Yep. No, I want to understand what that was.
Yeah. The pagers, which are these little guys right here, these are $400 a piece.
Yeah.
And unfortunately they're made in China and don't last very long sometimes. And it's really the only company, Motorola is really the only company that makes a somewhat decent product, and they got everyone buy it. So, the Cascade rental for oxygen, that is for the rescue squad. It used to be all together with the breathing air rental, but we just left it there. That they don't make a compressor that we can have at the firehouse, so we still have to rent and get those filled. Pump testing. I get a quote each year from the company, and I just copy and paste that. Same with the hose and ladder testing. They send me a quote and I can put as close to that as I can. Any questions on any of that stuff? Gasoline and diesel went up a little bit on each, just because you never know what those prices are going to do. The diesel I went up a little bit more on because we have been having more people try to get qualified on them, so they're going out more on driver training. So I just don't want to fall short on running out of fuel money and not being able to train people to drive the trucks. Training association dues, in-house training, the mandated, or the in-house training, that's if we have an instructor coming to teach us something. The mandated annual training, that is from the state, that is hazmat and confined space. We have to take those refreshers each year, when the county coordinators comes out and teaches that. The Chiefs Council dues, and then the fire prevention is the stuff that we go, when we go to the schools and have helmets and coloring books for the kids. Any questions on those there? Alright. New York State inspections for the trucks.
Can you just, as you go through, we can see the inspections, just tell us what each number means, or is, what truck, which vehicle.
Okay. So 49-1, I know right now we don't have one.
That's
just
Chief.
Yep, that's the Chief's car.
Gotcha.
No, that's for fuel, or not fuel, oil changes, wiper blades, etc. 49-2, that's the deputy chief's car.
That's Kevin's.
Yep. That's a little bit more just because it's starting to be an older vehicle. We wanted to make sure we can keep up on maintenance and any parts that are needed for that. 4911, 1 and 13, they're both the engines. But again, it's for any issues with that. One of the trucks, 11, does need a valve replaced on it this year. I'm going to do out of this year's budget. So no.
These are the big trucks.
Yep, these are the bigger trucks. 31, a little bit more because it's an older truck.
What is that?
That is our tanker. 55, which is our rescue truck, the one that's getting replaced. It's really showing its age. So again, that's the highest price one for maintenance because it's most likely to be the one to break something.
What's the status on the new truck?
Kevin and Junior are meeting with the representative. They're getting ready to start the cabin chassis at the manufacturing plant for that.
Okay.
This is the one that you moved the money and did the bid for, like last year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole fire truck manufacturing business is like 2 years behind from when you order. But that is the truck that we are replacing hopefully in the next year or so. Hopefully next year we'll be able to say, hey, the truck's coming in a month and we can lower that.
So we're still spending $5,000 on this old thing we're replacing?
Yeah. Again, if it breaks down, that's our rescue truck. We don't have one similar to it that we can switch the equipment over to. If that one goes down, it'd be hard to go without for car accidents and any technical rescue type stuff.
Once we get it, any resale value for $49.55?
I think so. I think so. A lot of that with the way that the buying is with these fire trucks, since they're 2 years out, there is quite a market for used fire trucks right now. Especially selling them to departments down south from up here.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
I think we'd be able to hopefully get like 40,000 for it. Unfortunately, the resale value isn't great compared to the buying price.
Yeah.
But it's like any other vehicle. You drive it off the lot, there goes 10 grand. And then it's a 22-year-old truck this year, so it's getting up there. 4963, that's one of our brush trucks. 600 for that for oil change, maintenance on that. 4961 is our older brush truck. Again, that's a 2007 truck. We don't really have a replacement plan for those. Those we kind of go until it's not worth working on them. It's still in very good shape for its age, so I'd like to just be able to keep up on the maintenance on it so we can keep it going longer. 4972 is the volunteer ambulance. That's just covering basic maintenance on that, and tires if needed. $49.97 is our side-by-side and trailer. That covers the yearly maintenance on that to make sure it's in good working order. Miscellaneous service is the same. That's kind of just our backup, and then if there's any large item parts for these trucks, some of the valves and pump parts are expensive, so we like to have a backup for those if something like that goes. Any questions on the vehicles?
I have a question on 4955.
Mhm.
So, there's absolute auctions, but there's also, I don't remember the name of it, but there is an auction house that specializes in just fire
Yeah.
equipment. So that's like one avenue to look at that, to
Yep.
get your best price for it, but also maybe talk to the manufacturer and maybe see about building in a, like a trade-in for it,
So,
just to reduce the overall cost of it. So,
yeah,
I mean, just
no,
two different ways to look at it.
we did talk to the sales rep about it, and he said we could wait still to make the determination
Okay,
if
cool.
we wanted to do trade-in versus sell ourselves. What I've been doing is watching, a couple of the, fire department like cell sites,
Mm-hmm.
and just trying to get an idea of like, all right, that truck's pretty similar to ours, what's it going for? Keeping an eye on that, so this way when we get closer and have to make the decision, I can
Make
ask
the
the
best decision.
manufacturer and go,
Perfect.
hey, what are you gonna give us versus what we
Right,
should be able to get?
Great. Thank you.
Alright, so fire physicals, that's going up a little bit because we have more members. So it's free. Last time checked with them right before we did these ones, our physicals a couple weeks ago. It's close to $300 per firefighter. So I took how many new firefighters we gained, and added for a couple more just in case we continue our trend of gaining members.
So have we not gotten a bill yet for this year?
No, they just did them end of February.
Okay. Perfect.
Oh, we did get it?
Yeah, I gave it to.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh,
Just wanted-
Okay, I didn't.
Yeah.
That's all right. I just was making sure that it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Thanks.
and we have a couple, members that weren't able to make the 2 nights that we do it at the firehouse. So we'll have a couple more smaller bills from them. Hepatitis vaccine, the blood test, that's just stuff that goes along with the physical, goes along with the vaccine, and we do require the blood test. Alright, Ted is sleeping, we found out, so I'll just do the
Perfect.
quick spiel about the LOSAP since we're right at that point.
Oh, the other one, the other 10.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know, I see the eyes,
Should have
brought
sunglasses.
So LOSAP is a retirement program, for municipalities, and it's something that we're enrolled in through you guys. And once members are vested after 3 years, after they're a member for 3 years, they're enrolled into this, retirement program. And there are requirements that each year we have to, make to be able to stay enrolled in it and to, get that year's, contribution to the retirement, bless you. Ted Bonus is much better at explaining it than I am. But each year, based off of, our,
Rob, this is the one that when you hit 55, you get, right? That we were
Yes.
talking about the other day.
So it's a firefighter retirement program in which you make a certain number of calls, drills, trainings, and you meet those requirements each year. I believe it's 50, you have to have for a year. Then that gets counted towards your retirement. If you miss it, then you've lost a year. And then when you reach the age of 55, you get your payout. So kind of a little incentive for volunteer firefighters to keep the fire department alive.
What's the average payout at 55? Any idea?
It all depends on when you start in the program.
Yeah, it's
No,
kind of.
if someone joins at the age of 40, it's going to be smaller
Sure.
than someone who joins.
Like,
at
did you make your requirements each year? Did you make 10 and not another 10 years? Yeah.
A couple went out already, Deirdre. One was like for, I think this person had been there a while, but like 15,000, so not insignificant.
Yeah, I think
It's
that
a
was
nice
like a full, where
benefit.
they didn't miss any years.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. That's like the max.
Yeah, around there, yeah.
So that blue sheet, that needs to be signed,
It's going around.
yeah, that goes back to you guys, and that's when you can
We post it for 30
post it
days. If
30
some-
days, and then it'll come back to us to sign for the
I know I didn't explain that great, but
No,
any
no.
questions that I can maybe answer?
Explained perfectly.
Okay. Moving on then, the Marshall and Sterling cancer policy. Last year we had $5,125. We went over. I bumped it up a little bit to try to account for what it might go up. They don't tell us until after. Nicole, you don't get anything from them on that, right?
No,
Yeah.
I think the bill actually goes to you guys first,
Right, so
and it's probably based on numbers, I don't know.
I never saw it
I don't
before
know.
the actual bill, so I'm not sure. You haven't got one? Okay.
Yeah, but I've never got to do it.
Okay.
Just a recommendation to kind of wait till we get closer to passing the budget, but I think we probably could go down to 7 and then.
Okay.
I mean, just based on the last 3 years, I think we could at least save enough to go down to 7, but
Okay.
we'll wait to see if you guys get anything on there.
Yeah,
Before.
and I'll look at the old bills with Shelley and
Okay.
we'll see if we can narrow that out a little better. Workman's comp, I know we're in the green a little bit for that. We still have 3,000. I wasn't sure if any more was gonna come out this year or if we were done paying that this year. I'm not sure how that works with you guys. So I went up a little bit just to accommodate. I don't know, again, is that like an appropriate amount to go up?
I think there was a claim this year. That's why. That was a pretty big part of it, right, Nicole?
I don't know, I'm not.
Well, that looks good.
That's reasonable amount to guesstimate. Alright, the 49-1, Tahoe debt service principal can go away, or it already is, so that's one less expense this year.
For now, I mean, I don't know if we're, we don't.
Right,
we don't know
right
exactly
now, I don't
what's
know what-
going on, but
Yeah.
yeah. I guess for the purpose of this conversation, let's leave it out.
Okay. And that leads me to the apparatus reserve fund. For those who don't know what that is, that's the fund that, you guys put into a savings account for us, to purchase future large fire trucks, like 55 that's being replaced. Again, if we can raise that even just a little bit, it would greatly help us out to be able to continue affording fire trucks in the future.
What are we replacing next with the reserve fund?
So after 55 would be 31, the tanker. That truck right now is 18 years.
And when are we
No,
looking?
not 18. I apologize. 16 years old.
And when do you anticipate wanting to replace it?
We're 16, 2030 in that time frame. I know because 55's gotten pushed back, we might have to wait another year for that, just to try to build up that reserve a little bit more.
What do we have in the reserve right now?
Well, that's not looking me at it 75.
So the 474?
Yeah.
So 474, we added 75,000, we transferred the 75s. So there's 549,000.
And how much is approximately a new one right now, Don?
Tankers are going for about 900,000.
And assuming there's not 900 in the account, what do we do? What do you do?
We'll do what we're doing for 55. The department does our fundraising and cover the rest. Just to give you guys an idea too, the cabin chassis for 55 that's being built right now is roughly $585,000 for the cabin chassis alone.
What's the total of that truck?
1.2 million.
Yeah, I figured, so the tanker's actually less.
Yeah, the tanker is a little bit less. There's less moving parts on it. It's more of just a big water tank on wheels versus the rescue, which has shelving and doors,
Tools and
yeah.
compressors.
Any questions up to this point? Deirdre, anything?
Nothing specific yet, thank you.
Just a quick, did you talk about, I know how some places they pay for the chassis when the chassis is built. Did you
Yes.
talk about doing that?
Yes, the way that the company we're dealing with does want to do the cabin chassis separate payment.
So how are you paying for the cabin chassis?
I was gonna talk to the board at the next board meeting, about using the reserve fund for that, and then we would cover the rest for the, membership.
Okay, that's a great idea. I just know that, not to bring up Rhinebeck, but we just determined, like, if we had to do a BAN for that, it wasn't worth doing it before, and it was, for the interest that we would pay on the BAN, it was worth just waiting for the whole truck to be built and then borrowing it. But if you're going to pay for it with cash, then
Yeah, that's the plan.
then it's worth doing it, yeah.
And just so you guys know, for the rest of the truck, the rest of the 1.2 million, we did have one donor donate, roughly 480,000. And the fund, or the Millbrook Engine Hook and Ladder membership is, from our fundraising, is gonna cover the rest of the truck.
I guess as we get closer to it, we'll figure out all the
Yeah.
finances.
Any questions for the fire side of that?
What do we have in reserve currently?
549,000.
5 what?
549, 140.
Hearing.
What were you gonna go bring up at the next meeting? Just missed the beginning of that.
Go using the the apparatus reserve to pay for the cabin chassis,
Of
the new rescue truck.
the new rescue truck. Gotcha. So does that mean that, and we had previously used apparatus reserve for that same truck?
No, we haven't made any payments yet, so nothing for 55 has come from that.
So what did we transfer? Did we do any purchase in the last couple of years or no?
No,
Okay,
not
must be.
since,
Okay.
not since the last engine, which was 2021.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, Donna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just make one request for the current year?
Mhm.
So could you guys try and, figure out, work with Nicole on what's left in your, line items, but figure out what you need and maybe purchase it and kind of finish things up like by the end of April, just as we get into May, and then if we start getting the, invoices after May, then
It's harder. Okay,
so, but definitely work with Nicole so you know where you're at on those line items. But as much as you can get done, like in
April
April,
versus May.
versus waiting, right? Like we talked about the year,
Okay.
and so that's much appreciated on our end.
Yep, no problem.
Peter, I have one question from a board member, I can find it.
Yeah.
It was emailed to us.
Uh huh.
question is, the ambulance transportation line item is for $650K. The town of Washington paid the village $855K this year. What is the actual contract number for NDP? If town is giving money for firehouse budget, where exactly is it allocated for? The village budget for NDP is $650 and the town is paying $855. Should the money the town pays be deducted from the village budget so village residents are not paying double tax? So I think it's just a question of offsetting the revenue, right? And I'm assuming that you guys offset the revenue from the town?
So we've been talking about this, and I think we have some answers for you right now. Is that right? Or do we want to come back to the town board on this specifically?
Talk about it?
I'm sorry,
The calculation.
the calculation, wait, you just read the first part?
It was just an email that was sent to me.
Right,
So,
right.
the ambulance transportation line item is for $650,000. The town of Washington paid the village $855,000 this year. What is the actual contract number for NDP?
That's $650.
That's what it was. Okay.
Well,
Okay. If town is giving money for firehouse budget, where exactly is it allocated for?
So I
So I
think
guess they're looking
we're
for the
going
rev-
through that.
Right,
That's like
and they're looking
what
for the
we're doing.
so they're looking for the revenue line, I'm just guessing. But to show the $850,000 in revenue. If the village budget for NDP is $650, the town is paying $855, should the money that the town pays be deducted from the village budget so village residents are not paying double tax? I guess the question stemming from like the levy, if the town is levying a tax and the village is levying a tax, but I'm assuming that you guys are showing the revenue to offset, so there's not gonna be a double levy.
The notion's correct. We're not. No one's being
Correct,
double
right,
taxed.
right. So there has to be an offset of revenue.
So the addition to that is, it's not just the ambulance, it's the ambulance
And a
plus
full
the
fire contract.
full fire department budget. But what the calculation is to take the ratio of the village portion of it. If we take the total contract of both of them, and of both the town and the village, and then we get a ratio of what is that the town, which is 86.63%. So then we multiply that by the budget.
Yep.
With the ambulance included, and that's how we come out with the town contract. And then, as per last year, we agreed to divide it into two, have one part
Yes,
due February, one part due March, and it,
not February and March.
Or-
February and
no, February,
February.
March.
Okay.
And I think based on the calculation, it's not changing too much from last year. But yes, I mean, I think that, that person kind of missed that it's not 800,000 for just 650, it's for
Right.
that plus, which the total is whatever.
Right, then just over a million.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then the other question that was emailed to me is, would it be too much to ask the fire department to apply money towards the fire truck reserve each year? So I guess they're talking about the engine, hook and ladder, separate from, the town and the village. Not my question, it was sent to me.
Right. The only thing is, if pretty much we take our donations, earmark it towards the trucks. And once we find out how much the truck is, we just cover the rest of what is not covered by the village.
So you're contributing towards the truck, each truck.
Yeah.
It's just in a different way.
Yes.
Right.
Just to go back to what you said about, so you have a donation for this new truck for the for
Rescue truck.
55.
for 55. That big donation is for that,
Yes.
and so just so I understand,
That's the donation. That's the price of the truck.
so you're donating hook and ladder is about 171.
I mean, that's just a rough.
So you have the vehicle reserve fund, you have this contribution, and then the rest is hook and ladder, and it's whatever, 100, 200,000. Does that sound right?
No, when I figured everything, when we started pricing out the truck, we were gonna be donating about, it almost worked out to thirds.
A third.
I think what happened is that because the truck got pushed back into another year,
we added more into the
another
reserve.
75,000 got added to the reserve.
So
Based on that, because I honestly forgot, what time things were, we could leave 75,000 in the reserve.
and that would cover a third, and a third, and then
Yeah.
it's another 75 towards the tanker eventually.
Right, that, I'm fine with that, and I'm sure the company is as well.
Does that answer your question?
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood
Yeah.
what he meant then.
No, I think the person that asked the question was asking like on a rotating cycle that like 75,000 a year out of village dollars to the reserve, and then the engine hook and ladder giving 75,000 the next year. But it sounds like everyone's contributing to the vehicles, so
I think
that's
That's
Right.
really what, yeah.
The answer to the
bottom line.
email is they are.
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly, right.
Okay.
So let's put an asterisk on the reserve fund, and if you know, if we can I mean, you wanna increase it, I know we talked about that,
Yeah.
but let's
Any little bit helps
Yeah.
for future down the roads, because the way things are going, fire trucks are not getting cheaper, unfortunately.
you know, let's put a pin in that, and then, we'll see how we shake out at the end.
Do I have to? So we've got the dumpster rental for the year, it's 2,400. Firehouse cleaning is 7,800, which I think we can get rid of that. I don't see why we need to have the firehouse cleaned every single week. If we have a big event coming up, we could keep that in-house to save some money there.
What are you proposing that we reduce it to?
I would maybe 1,000 just to be safe in case something major came up.
Cleaning supplies,
Yeah.
things like that a little bit.
So lower 7,800 than 1,000.
Down 1,000 or down to 1,000?
Two
To 1,000.
So you're not having to clean.
There's not enough happening that goes on upstairs in the firehouse that would warrant it to be cleaned that much each week, and it's something that we can take care of.
Is it every week now, or was it's
every week.
It's every week now.
So that would ruin it.
And then Vector Security, stayed the same, I believe.
Yeah.
It's a huge cost.
Yeah.
Reduction.
Just so we're clear, so I understand. So the firehouse. So how many times is that a year now, approximately, for $1,000? Just I want to make sure that's going to be enough.
We're looking to not have
Do it.
a cleaning company.
We
Our
clean it
members
ourselves.
clean
We
it
would do it.
and we're just leaving some in there for supplies.
Okay.
We pretty much clean things on our own anyway, and we just realized it was an expense.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. So do the taxpayers.
And then electric, Nicole worked on these because I'm new at this and don't know how this works, but electric's 11,600, optimum is 35, which are we paying cable?
Yes.
So that, we were talking about getting rid of the cable,
It's phone, internet, and people.
okay, so it's probably cheaper to have all three of that, right?
Sometimes that's
Yeah, they do make
Yeah,
that.
they do try to, hook it in, but
You may be able to call and play around with it. We don't use TV. If we do, it would be through apps. Nobody uses cable,
Right.
and we're not watching TV at the firehouse. So,
right.
if there's a way to lessen that.
I mean, even if it goes up a little, I think it'll
Maybe
be.
just phone
it will
and maybe just
save
phone
it.
and Wi-Fi or something. I don't know.
Currently, our Wi-Fi doesn't run well. It may I don't know what it's called, the bandwidth or whatever that is. We may need to increase that a little bit because right now we can't even stream like a training video. It won't
You
work.
were talking about.
We don't have we have a business here.
So we may need to look into something
Yeah.
like that. We have to
Yeah.
increase the speed.
Right.
Yeah.
So the village hall.
You would think that they-
It was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
So this is, the Wi-Fi question is something I think the village hall and, I mean, Optimum is just, and largely obsolete. And we did have a conversation about streamlining this somehow and getting Village Hall, fire, everybody sort of on
On one
a new-
account.
on one account, on one new system. I don't know what you use, I just have a T-Mobile.
Yeah, and the thing
Hotspot
is if they have
thing,
cable,
and
that
it's
means
great.
they need a cable box, we're renting the cable box.
Right,
And
we
you're
said-
not even
and we were
using
gonna
the
get
cable
rid of the
box.
We don't need a
box.
cable
Now
box.
we can
Right,
take
no.
that cable box and get rid of it.
Right, no,
Right,
that's
not
what I mean, so
renting.
if we can figure out a way to get Wi-Fi for the Village Hall, for the fire department, and
Right.
and do
And
it,
do it,
yeah,
and
one
one bill.
contract, there's definitely a way to do it. Even if you have to have multiple hotspots.
right. Yeah, we should
But you
do that.
really, what you need is the Wi-Fi,
We need the speed.
Wi-Fi and.
but high-speed Wi-Fi.
Right.
Yeah, okay,
Wi-Fi.
right,
Right,
right.
our computers are slow.
And you guys are using Optimum in this building as well.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
We have good internet
But
here.
will
Yeah.
it decrease the cost by putting them together?
If you put them together, then it's one contract and you're
Well, we might
buying
be
more
able
in
to
one
add them
contract
to
than
ours.
having 3 separate contracts where you're each piecemealing it, you don't get the discount. If you say,
Right.
hey, I
Well,
got
Ethan
3
loves-
buildings, I wanna.
We have the Optimum Business, and it's
Okay.
including this building with the
Okay.
police department,
Oh, it is.
water and sewer, and the highway department.
Oh, so we already have it under
Yeah.
one bill. So
It's
all we
just
have
the
to
fire
do,
department's
just adding-
separate.
so just take out their cable box,
Well,
then we
They
want
have a
the
separate
rental.
account, is what I'm saying, the fire department has their own
Oh.
separate account.
Can
So
we add them to our account?
that would something we'd have to look into, and see
Okay.
what the difference is,
Okay.
yeah.
Save some money that way.
See if it does, see
It's
if it
definitely
does.
for the cable box, cause you gotta rent the cable box,
Yeah.
that's 10-15
But
bucks a month.
but Optimum, they,
I think they waive that for us.
yeah.
Oh, they did?
However, we can increase the speed so that we can.
But there are, so the dumb T-Mobile thing that I put in my house is incredible.
But how many devices do you have connected? And do you have a network? And
Yeah.
No, right, no, I know, but that's just for like a residential, but then they have, I mean, that's, T-Mobile is like an international company, they're looking to rule the world. But I do, and what were we talking about with a company, I guess it was with the chief, talking about some tech person,
Yeah.
right, that can run the security. If we could, maybe we can chase some of that.
You have this $7,500 network service. I don't know what is in that.
Right,
Is that part of some of this stuff at the
No,
bottom?
that's,
Is that
we're looking into lowering that possibly too, because we've got 2 members that are gonna be doing our IT work now.
Yeah,
So
so,
we'll have to have a company, but they might have to do the licensing for us.
oh,
So we're kinda.
yeah, we're not
What's in
sure.
there now? Is it like software
is that what
or?
Fish does?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fish.
Yes.
Yeah,
But you guys are stopping that and
We have 2 members that joined that are tech. Their job is tech that has offered to do all that at no cost. So that is gonna save some money for.
Should we
can we hire them to help?
They may, I mean, we could run that by them, they could
Yeah.
possibly come over here and take a look at things for you as well.
Because that was one of the things that he said is often departments have somebody who
Right.
just, that's
I'm
that's
sure
an
they-
expertise that they have, and so they contribute it. And, it's not that we want them to necessarily do it for free, but if it's
Yeah,
it's something
I
that,
can run that by them, absolutely.
yeah,
Well, maybe they can offer some help on the
Right.
Wi-Fi part. with the
right,
fire
right,
department.
even if
Right.
it's consulting, right, just giving us some ideas about how we could resolve some of this.
they're still working with Fish Solutions to figure out like what parts they can take over. There are some parts that
Yeah.
Fish
Yeah,
may
yeah.
still have to hold on to with the licensing and
Fish
whatnot.
spelled like the actual fish, not the band.
FISCHE.
F-I-S.
No.
And that's what the network.
FISCHE. A whole new fish.
Can you tell them?
Julia.
Right, so the heating oil went up obviously, because that goes up every year.
You're assuming $3 a gallon?
well, at 3,500 gallons a year, so it kind of evens out. I don't even know if that one was at $3 a gallon, but I have a whole file with what they've used. I can show
show you an outlay at this time. but-
That sounds good though. I'm just surprised.
Cause what we're paying now, we, it's low, like what we're paying, it's like two something.
Okay.
Cause we contract with the town, with Daily, or whoever wins the bid, but I think this year was Daily.
The furnace service, generator service, electrical, all that's pretty much stayed the same. We're looking to replace the ceiling tiles in the new hall. A lot of them got damaged with the water damage, and they're the old ones that are fiberglass, and you can't get them anymore. So we need to redo the whole room to make it look uniform.
Is this the leak?
Yes.
Yes. And we talked about seeing if, the
Insurance
insurance
will
will.
cover it.
Yeah, so until they kinda get in there, we won't know, but we wanna have it there in case they say no, we're not sitting there, we're not holding the seal.
And future, which we're trying to maybe see if we can get a grant for, is to replace the generator system. So it's upgraded to an automatic system. And then future, replacing the front ramp, which is heaved. So it's a tripping hazard and just doesn't look good.
This is the apron?
Yes,
Yeah.
or apron for where the larger trucks at Base Front Street. One of them moves quite a bit when you drive a truck over it, you can watch it, flex, pop up and then go back down, it's a little sketchy with those bigger trucks.
This is obviously a big expense, Deirdre, and something that needs to be done at some point, sooner rather than later. You're not proposing it this year,
No, we're just
but
putting it out there for the
Well,
ball to start rolling.
that's what they think it's gonna cost.
Oh, really?
Between, I'm pretty sure, we had talked about it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was hauling, having someone come in and hammer out the existing slabs, haul it out, and then someone would come back in.
Was it 4 foot off the building? 4 foot wide?
No, it's, 30 foot off the building.
Oh, you're doing the whole thing all the way up
Yeah,
there.
they're all-
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, that
some of
makes
the
more
ones,
sense. I was gonna say, cause usually you just do the 4 foot like
Right.
you did for us.
yeah, so the problem, the reason why we don't have asphalt all the way up to there, if we park the trucks outside for more than 20 minutes on a
In the
hot
sun?
day, they would start sinking in, there would be ruts sitting there.
What if we take the money that we're saving on cleaning and, possibly network services and create a apron reserve, Karen? Or is it not big enough that we need a reserve?
It says $90,000.
Yeah.
That's just
How
rough.
much is
But-
No,
No.
but that's
No, I know.
gonna be,
Yeah.
that's,
But like compared to a truck, it's
right, no, agreed. But
So
it's
we-
still something.
We got a block grant for it in Rhinebeck last year, I think they go down like a foot and a half or two, like. they're
Oh,
big
the
up.
slabs?
Yeah.
It'd be at least
Yeah,
10
like,
inches.
we had it all, we had some, block grant for sidewalks, but the apron was included in it also, so, I mean, it would be worth checking.
Yes, it's something we're
To
gonna
see if
try to
there's
get
any
a grant
grant
for,
money available for it.
but we're just trying to plan at the moment, if we don't get
I
something.
think they're favoring fire, I think they're favoring like firematic stuff.
Some are, and, there was a grant that went out, that we're trying to get, and it got extended, so we're hoping that's because not many people applied, so we'll have a better chance of getting some stuff. And I'm hoping they continue it, and we'll be able to keep chipping away at stuff.
the block grants. We're all set for this year, but it's something
Right.
we can certainly
Right.
look at
But-
Yeah.
for next year.
Right,
But let's just assume that we don't or we can't. Karen, does it make sense to start a reserve for that kind of expense? I guess is my question.
so it's up to you guys, I mean, if you think you're gonna put the money into it, and if you think you're gonna wait till you have enough money that you're putting away to do it,
I'm
then,
just worried about 100,000. Call it 100
right,
Yeah.
in a year or two out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
yeah, no, definitely.
It's not getting better.
No, concrete
Good.
prices aren't getting better, that's for sure.
let's maybe pencil that.
Yeah, we'll pencil
In.
like right above where it says ambulance reserve, we'll just put the apron there, then we can move some of that stuff into there.
Could be close to that. Okay, so
And the copier and the
Yeah.
office supplies have stayed the same, and then network, obviously, we're gonna find out what we're saving there.
but no sense yet.
Nope,
No.
But it sounds like there's gonna be something.
There
Yeah.
should be something, we just don't know the extent until, the members that are gonna be taking some of this over, find out exactly what they're getting into from Fish.
What did we have for this last year? Network service. And what did you use for it?
Well, the copy of rental, obviously that's standard, so.
Those that are on the
we use
tablets
those.
for.
for the
Dom-
trucks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for the chief's vehicles.
that's within that, those
They put
fish.
the use two grand.
Those would be the.
Yes.
Close to that, they used all their 500.
Yeah, I think most of it is paying the Fish Solutions, the networking stuff, and that's pretty well set. I didn't get any notification saying, hey, we're raising our rates. I didn't.
And why aren't we using the same? They've always just been separate, like NetFX.
They have different software, I don't know
So,
what it's totally something.
I think the big reason, we started using Fish years ago, when we had the Spotted Dog program for a responder app, when that first came out. Fish Solutions owned Spotted Dog, sold it to the county, and trying to streamline everything for the fire side, we started using them for our networking stuff. And I think they've always just stayed there. No one else has been.
I think it's easy to get stuck in using the same vendor, but
Yep.
to Julia's point, Nicole's, Chief's, I think maybe there's some benefit into having, one or two vendors for all of these village.
Yep.
Um,
We're not we have the members that are stepping up to take over some of the networking stuff. By no means are we like, oh no, we love Fish. We're okay with that.
No, I hear you.
I think it's
So
just.
it's always tough to make the move, but once you do and get used to it, it might be a
Yeah,
huge
no,
benefit.
absolutely.
And it might save money.
Our tech people, we are not tech savvy by any means. Maybe they could come and speak to you on that once they get a clear vision of what Fish does and what they offer us and and they can do the research as well. They've offered to streamline all of that.
So what are we doing for this?
Since Ted's bonus, not that Ted, is still sleeping and Kim
He's awake.
Oh, he's awake now?
Yep.
Is he on his way? Oh, okay.
You want him to come up here?
No, I can do this. And Kim Bonus, who is captain of the rescue squad, is still working. I'll just go over the EMS stuff. Pretty much, she raised everything, just cost of expenses. I think the first aid supplies, oxygen, EpiPens, everything's going up on that. And that includes the stretchers and, or the stretcher and stair chair service and money for AED supplies, the pad, 6 fire, batteries, dye. CPR first aid seminars, CMEs are the continuing medical education classes. Pretty much what those are is EMTs have to recertify every 3 years. Either they have to take the test or they can take these continuing medical education classes and their certification gets extended another 3 years if they take enough of the classes. So that's a huge help keeping EMTs active, letting them be able to just take some classes versus take a test every 3 years.
Getting a lot of EMS people join, or is it mostly on the fire side?
Mostly on the fire side, it's been slowly ramping up on the EMS side. I think they had 2 new members recently.
2 recently, I think maybe total of 5 within the last
Yeah, it's not as, it's a lot harder to join the EMS side. The class is a lot longer and a lot harder to start. So that unfortunately keeps people from getting in and staying in.
Plus, on top of that, you don't have call nights.
Right.
We have call nights where we have to respond twice a week. Each person takes 2 nights a week, but we also respond when we're not on call.
The fire department has enough numbers where we haven't had to start assigning call nights. We know to handle all the calls based on who's available. Also in that is defensive driving. EVOC is the class that teaches people how to drive an ambulance or a fire truck safely. So to get members qualified to drive, that's a pretty important part to keep them going. New O2 tanks, every so often they expire or have to get hydro tested. So that covers that cost. EMS protective gear, we have O2 first aid bags. The protective gear, they get a much lighter version of our turnout gear. It's like a flash fire protection / cut resistance clothing for them. This way at car accidents they're protected, or fires they can be close enough to help but not get injured. Rehab stuff is for when we're at major incidents, like water, electrolyte stuff, the powders, chairs, stuff like that. O2 and first aid bags. Some bags just wear and tear after a few years. We'll be able to replace them. The EMS system, tablets and program. So for that, whenever our ambulance treats a patient, we have to create what's called a PCR. Right, it's called that.
Yeah.
That's the patient care report. The state moved to an entirely tablet-based program. Yeah, you pay for the program every year, and that covers that in the tablet for the ambulance.
So what program do you use?
ESO,
Oh,
that's EPCR, so everything is done online while we're en route or working with a patient. At the end of that call, that information gets faxed directly to the hospital to keep all the information and for insurance purposes, whatever, for that patient.
We do have an ambulance, right, Don?
A volunteer ambulance?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that,
It's in
Did
that
you-
apparatus.
it was?
That's in that price, yeah.
It was?
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
think
missed
that's
that.
2,500 for that, for maintenance.
Gotcha.
The only other thing on the EMS expense side is the NDP contract on here. I must have missed adding on the 50,000 to make it the 650,000.
Everybody knows it's not NDP anymore, right?
Right,
Yeah.
They haven't changed the lettering on the ambulance that they have in our town yet, but I'm sure that's coming within probably 6 months. They'll have everything switched over and all the uniforms.
The $150,000 balance just because you guys haven't made the last payments yet. Close up your year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
because
it's 50 a month.
Okay.
any questions on the EMS side?
Thanks, Don.
Yeah, well,
This Empress is something else.
Freaky
They say Northwell Health is gonna come online
Yeah.
as a competitor.
Don was watching on that.
We'll see. Northwell Health? Sharon, they're gonna start running ambulance service in Dutchess County, they say.
Karen, is anything else?
good. I think, the board, has decisions to make if you wanna set up that reserve account and kind of go through them. But I think we did a presentation, started police and fire.
Yep.
I think that's a good idea. Like paying for college, I mean, you got.
Yeah, those are them ones.
Tom, Robbie, thank you.
I did want to just quickly, I know in the last meeting we had on February 19th, there was some discussion about the division between Millbrook Fire Department and Hook and Ladder. And you weren't clear on that, and I appreciate your honesty on that, because I don't think I was either. So I did make sure I kind of got the investigation going on that and researched what I could research to come back, so I made sure that we had a distinct answer on that. So what I did find was, again, Millbrook Fire Department is village-owned building apparatus, oversees fire protection services that we provide, and we do our monthly meeting, as we will next week on March 11th. The Millbrook Engine Hook and Ladder Company, number one, is a separate 501c3 nonprofit membership corporation. Those company meetings would deal with our internal business, nonprofit organization. And I did find out, so those meetings, I know we talked about the liaison, those meetings under 501c3 and pursuant to the regulations that govern 501c3 are private meetings, they are not public meetings. So I just wanted to make you aware, because I know tomorrow night is our meeting. They are not open to the public pursuant of that. So whatever is public, we do meet the following Wednesday here, and we would bring all the fire department information to that. So again, I just want to make sure that, we were aware of that boundary and that we are following what we do. I wouldn't want to cross that line and open up something to the whole public, and then it doesn't become a membership anymore, it becomes a public meeting. So I just want to make you aware so that we do cross those lines and you didn't show up and go over that.
Good to know, Teddy. Good that you didn't show up.
Well, I got tomorrow night off.
And then Rob had something else he wanted to say.
In an executive session, just a couple things to follow up on a couple things that we talked about over the weekend.
Okay.
Tonight? Yeah.
Okay.
Very quick.
Okay. In that case, I will make a motion that we exit the public session and enter into executive session.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. No, you can